Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, and this is Movie Talk. This week I'll be finishing up my series on the Tolkien movies with the third installment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Return of the King. This movie was made in 2003, and follows the Fellowship of the Rings, which came out in 2001, and The Two Towers, which came out in 2002. Now, this movie picks up almost immediately where The Two Towers left off. Helm's Deep has been defended from Saruman's forces, and Isengard has been taken over by Merry, Pippin, and the Ents. Not knowing, however, that Isengard is now under the control of the Ents and the two little hobbits, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, along with several members of the Rohan Kingdom, travel to Isengard to battle Sauron and take control of Isengard, only to find it basically flooded, Merry and Pippin perfectly safe and happily smoking Longbottom Leaf from their pipes, and Treebeard now in control of Isengard itself. However, Pippin, and I'm going to say this right now, Pippin is one of my favorite of the four hobbits, as he is just very curious, and that curiosity backfires on him a lot of the times. Pippin gets himself into a little bit of trouble when he looks into a seeing orb, and I can't remember what it's called. And Sauron believes that Pippin is the ring bearer. Pippin also has a vision of a white tree in a city, and Gandalf realizes that this vision that Pippin has is of Gondor, and that Sauron has his eye fixed on Gondor, which is the last free kingdom of man. Gandalf takes his horse Shadowfax, which is introduced in the second movie, and is a beautiful white, or in so you Equestria people, do not kill me, gray horse or stallion, along with Pippin, and travels to Gondor to try and warn Denthero, and if I'm mispronouncing any names here, I apologize, who's played by John Noble. And he is the steward of Gondor. He's not the king of Gondor, as Gondor doesn't have a king, but he is the steward, which basically means he's looking after things until the king returns. And he is... God, I heard something there, I'm sorry. He is the father of Boromir and Faramir, I believe is how you say his last name, who is played by David Wenham, who are the two brothers. And he clearly has his favorite, which is, or was, Boromir. And all Boromir's younger brother wants is his father's approval, which is not really something he can get. He's constantly comparing him to his older brother. He also doesn't want to accept help from Rohan, as he knows of Aragorn, and he does not want Aragorn taking the throne, as Aragorn is the lost king. But they're able to send, Gandalf and Pippin are able to send a message, and the riders of Rohan and our three heroes make ready to ride to Gondor to help defeat the war, but they're too few, so Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli go in search of help and make a deal with these ghosts to help them and whatnot. Meanwhile, Frodo and Sam and Gollum, as we do not want to forget about our other two heroes, as they have probably the most important task in the whole movie, which is getting rid of the ring, are making their way to Mount Doom. They're within Mordor now, and they're making their way to Mount Doom. But Gollum is planning a very treacherous act, as he wants the ring back. He doesn't want the ring destroyed. He wants it back. And so he is able to turn Sam and Frodo against each other. Well, mostly Frodo against Sam. And whatnot. And once they discover his treachery, well, they make amends. But there's still a problem. Frodo has to get the ring to Mount Doom, and he's very weak. The burden of carrying this ring is literally weighing on him. You can see it physically, that it is weighing on him. It's like he literally has the weight of this ring, which is way more than it should be, on his shoulders to get rid of it, and he's feeling it. And it's sapping his strength, and he can't go any further. And Sam carries him and whatnot, and it gets really intense the closer they get to Mount Doom. I'm just going to tell you that because I don't want to give away too much. And the battle for Gondor is also extremely intense, as the leader of the Nazguls, and if I'm mispronouncing the names of them, I'm sorry, or the Black Riders, thought I heard something again there, who is the Witch King of Argamon, I believe is how you say it. Again, if I'm mispronouncing anything, I apologize, as some of these Tolkien names are very hard to say, is leading the attack, and he is played by Lawrence Meckel, or I believe is how you say his last name. And the thing is, he cannot be killed by any living man. However, there is one member of the group fighting to save Gondor who is not a man, and that is the niece of the king of Rohan. And I don't want to give away too much. I will say this, though. I forgot to mention this in the second movie, but, or my video on the second movie, but, if you remember from my video on the Fellowship of the Rings, I mentioned that the Black Riders were washed away by a tidal wave that Arwen summons. And obviously they're back in the second movie. In the second movie, they're actually riding dragons, which I thought was really cool. My dad told me that after we saw the Fellowship of the Rings and we're like driving home, and he's like, the Black Riders are going to be back and they're going to be riding dragons in the next movie. And I was like, oh, cool. But I said, like, really exclaim, like, I was really excited because he knows how much I love dragons. One thing I will say is I do not like the dragon designs in this movie, particularly after seeing the Hobbit trilogy and the design for Smaug. I'm like, okay, you got lazy on the dragons. Smaug looked cool, and I know the Hobbit trilogy came out 10 years after the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but still, Smaug looked cool, and these Nazgul dragons looked kind of pathetic in comparison, considering it was by the same company. It was like, oh my god, these look so pathetic. I mean, if you're going to make them dragons, make them look like dragons, basically. Don't make them look like flying worms with claws, which is basically what they looked like. So I was disappointed in the dragon design, particularly since I love dragons so much. And we had Dragonheart that came out before these movies, and Drago looked cool. It's like you couldn't use the same technology they did with Drago in Dragonheart and Drake in Dragonheart in New Beginning to make these dragons. It wouldn't have been that hard. So that's my one little gripe. I did not like the dragons. I'm like, you've got all these cool, you've got wags, which are giant wolves that the orcs ride. You got Orlando Bloom looking like a realistic elf. Can't remember his name. John Rhys Davis looking like a realistic dwarf, and like all these other actors playing elves looking like realistic elves and whatnot. Elijah Woods, Sean Austin, Billy Boyd, and Dominic Morgan looking like realistic hobbits, no bigger than a dwarf. And you skimped on the dragons? Really? Okay, that's just my one little gripe about that. That was just the one thing I was disappointed on in the second movie. I mean, you even have Treebeard looking like a tree that came to life, which is what he's supposed to look like, and they skimped on the dragons. It's like, really? You can't make that... You can't make the effort to make the dragons look as cool as the other characters in the movie. But anyways, and you get to see Sauron's eye. Although you see Sauron's, or not Sauron's, the Dark Lord's eye a lot throughout the trilogy, but this time I'm really going to get into it. And it looks cool. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'm going to say that it looks very cool. Okay, so I guess it's described in the book as being this lidless eye ringed with fire, and you really get that feel when you look at it. Very cool and very creepy at the same time. And a lot of elements in this movie just looked so cool. It's like they followed, within this trilogy, they followed the books almost precisely to the letter. I mean, I'm sure they cut some stuff out as they had to, but they did follow almost precisely to the letter what happened in the book. They didn't miss even the smallest detail. So that's one of the reasons why I really, really, really love this trilogy. I mean, it's out of movie trilogies, it's right up there with Star Wars, How to Train Your Dragon, or out of movie franchises, just solely movie franchises, you know, not taking into account TV shows that were spinned off of them. It is right up there with Star Wars, which I do consider a movie franchise, as it does have 9 movies. And I am counting Rogue One, Clone Wars, the movie, in that. How to Train Your Dragon and The Lion King. It's like right up there. I'm not sure which one of the 4 is my favorite. Well, 5, as I also like the Hobbit trilogy. I know a lot of people are like, I saw some mixed reviews on that, but I'm kind of in the camp where I thought it was good. Only because I thought it followed the book series, the book a little bit better than the animated one. But I will get into that when I just talk about the Hobbit movies. And I'm gonna basically start wrapping up this video. I don't think I have to say that they end up defeating Sauron and saving Middle Earth and whatnot. But I don't want to give it too much in case you haven't seen the movie. Again, really good. I really recommend, if you have not seen this trilogy, to sit down and watch it from the Fellowship of the Rings all the way through to the Return of the King. Don't like start with the Return of the King or the Two Towers, as they do play off of each other. They do flow. So if you were to start with the Two Towers, you would really not know. You would know what's going on, but you wouldn't know what's going on. You wouldn't know how they got to that point. So you really want to start with the Fellowship of the Rings. Question for this video: if you saw these movies, which one was your favorite, or which 2, or did you like all 3 of them equally? Please leave your answers in the comment section. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The information will be in the description channel. And for more information on Middle Earth, please check out Lore Guy's channel, as he has, well, so far 2, as of the posting of this video, 2 videos on Tolkien lore, one on the creation of Middle Earth and one on Sauron and his ring. Again, that is at the posting of this video. Really good. He goes into like a lot of depth. He also does a lot of interesting stuff on the lore of Star Wars for you Star Wars fans. So feel free to check it out. I'll leave his channel name in the description for you. And also the two Tolkien, names of the two Tolkien videos that he did. So, I'm Jennifer. Thank you for watching this video and have a very nice day.